Greetings, friends. Hope this finds you well. Rekcinol here, and today I'm going to be upgrading my podcast setup. So we've currently filmed 50 episodes on this setup right here. We've got 3 mics, a Rodecaster Pro, and a laptop that we use for this setup. And I want to upgrade it to a rectangular desk and also stain it to match the background. And, you know, use something that's a little bit more functional, has some better wheels on it, a little heavier duty, and it will be able to raise and lower so we can adjust the height in case we want to stand or something like that. So stay tuned. Here's a shot straight on of the setup. As you can see, it's a half oval. This was a scrap piece of plywood that we repurposed. We torched it and then put a glaze coat on it just to give it a nice finish. It served us well, but it's time for something new. We also threw some cheap IKEA table legs on there. The wheels are okay, but they're not the greatest for carpet. They're just too thin. And like I mentioned before, we got the Rodecaster Pro. We got 3 of the pod mics, some Audio-Technica headsets, and then a laptop. And this is what we run the podcast off of. So we also flip this around so that it's facing the other way, so that the backdrop that we have is this wall, which we have a lot of our memorabilia and stuff like that on. We also turn on those bulb lights to give it a little bit of a softer feel, a little more ambiance, if you will. And then we have a TV cart that we put out front, and that's what we read our show notes off of and anything that we need to pull up and reference while we're doing the podcast. This is what I'm going to be upgrading to. So this is a Husky. It's a manual adjustable height. So you get that little handle right there. This one is a 52 inch. The one I bought for the podcast desk is a 62 inch, so 10 inches longer. You see he's got the little Husky badge. I think I might take these off and sand them down a little bit and spray them flat black, or maybe just get rid of them and fill in the holes. But I did upgrade the wheels because the ones that this came with, the caster locks were really, really small, and I like these, so I got another set of these for the new one. And if we spin around here, you can see there's the legs, and then here is the rails, and then this is the piece that goes in between that allows you to raise up both sides, handle, all the hardware. The wheels are in here. Like I said, I got another set of the heavier duty upgraded wheels as well. I really like this because I can move it around. I can use it to do PC builds on, unboxings. Pretty versatile. We've actually used it to play some games as well that we needed to stand for. And then this is the finish. So this is it's a transparent, like weathered gray. So I will have to sand down. I had to sand this top down, and I'll have to sand the new one down. It's got like a clear finish on it. I'll be sanding that down and staining it. And that's the same stain that matches not only our podcast backdrop, which you just saw, but it's also my PC gaming setup. It's the same color that I stained the custom top that I made for my setup as well. Here's a shot of the stain. So it is a oil-based stain. Like I said, it is a semi-transparent, and it's Classic Gray 271 from Minwax. Here's the top here. You can see this is the bottom. It has all the mounting holes for the legs and the rails. This is that clear finish I'll be sanding off so I can stain it. I'm going to be using this belt sander, probably starting off with some 80 grit, moving to some 120, and then maybe finishing it with some 220. The first one I did with an orbital sander, and it took forever, so hopefully this one's a little easier. So it comes pre-installed with these sliders. There's like nylon or some kind of plastic. This is what comes on there, and they are adjustable. You can screw them up and down. And they also give you these locking casters. They're not terrible. Got some pretty decent rubber on them. Locking mechanism is super, super tight. Like if you had shoes on, it'd probably be okay, but like trying to do it with a bare foot, I don't know. And they're not very wide, so rolling around on carpet would be a little more difficult. Not terrible, but what I did is, because I had the other table, I bought some upgraded ones. So you can see these are black except for the white in the middle. They're a little bit wider. I think they're like 1.5, maybe 2, instead of 1 to 1.25. A little bit better bearings, I think, in these. These are a little noisy. These are full ball bearing. And the locking mechanism on these, it's in the rear, so it's very easy to push down. I can do it with my hand. Whereas this one being on the side, it's just more difficult to turn on and off. So that's on. Off's not too bad. But this one, because it's in the back. Now granted, you know, this gets turned under the desk. It's not a big deal, but, or it could be a big deal. Same with this one. So that's why this one, it's nice. It's a nice surface. Like I said, it's a little easier to get to, a little easier to use, I think. So I'll put the link in these if you're interested in upgrading. And these are good for any kind of stand, like C-stand, desk, cart, over these cheaper ones. So just my opinion. Here is the new setup. Got everything cable managed, tidied up as well as I can for now. Once we use this a couple times, we may make some changes, don't know, so it's good enough for now. So we got the pod mics, Rodecaster Pro, the original one, not the second gen. We've had this set up for about 2.5 years now. Got some Audio-Technica headphones. Got little headphone mounts for each one of those to mount underneath. Our old desk, everything was running across the top, so it looks a little cluttered. I think this looks a little more clean. Not sure if we'll have as much room as the old desk since it was curved. I think everybody had a little more arm space, so this may be slightly more cramped, but we can use this to stand, which we couldn't do before, since this is adjustable. So to get the manual adjustability, right there. I took the handle off for now, but just got to pop that on. And then we can go up. Right now it's at the lowest setting. Just keeping that out of the way so it doesn't hit anybody's knees or legs as we're using it. Our old desk, we also drilled holes and put cup holders in, which, you know, those weren't always in the best spots, so I'm not going to do that here. Just going to use these rubber coasters, silicone coasters. Hopefully nobody spills anything. We've been lucky so far. We've had a couple spills, but not into any equipment. And I'm just using a Dell, I think it's a XPS 15. Again, it's like 2.5 years old now, but for what we're using for, it's fine. Just use OBS and whatnot on it. Then I got the Stream Deck, so we use this to control lighting and also swap scenes. So it's nice for that. The Audio Technicas are, I'll put links to everything down below, those that are interested. ATH M20Xs. That's what we're using. And we actually have four of everything. So 4 mics, 4 headsets. So occasionally we'll have an extra guest and we'll use it. And if anything ever happens to one of these, we've got a backup. Here I'll show, so we've got our cam link. That's what we use to capture the camera, which is what I'm filming on now, my Canon R6. A little bit more of the cable management. So this cable rack was on the old desk, I just reused it. This was from IKEA. I forget what the name of it is, I'll put the link below, but it's like 20 or 30 bucks. It's just like a wire rack that screws on, as you saw in the video. Then I put another headphone hanger back here for the HDMI and the Ethernet cables, because we do plug those in. So the HDMI will go to the camera, Ethernet goes to a switch that we use that's over behind the TV over there, behind the entertainment center, because this desk is flipped around facing that way. And then we usually have a TV stand that sits right here. And we use that to see our show notes and to see what we're talking about during the podcast. So, and then the only other cable is the HDMI coming from the TV to the laptop, which I have a laptop dock down here that everything plugs into. So I only have a USB-C cable coming up that does charging and everything. I don't have the cam link plugged into that. We were having some problems with the cam link dropping out. I don't know if that USB dock just wasn't fast enough or had enough bandwidth, so it's plugged it directly in to the laptop, and we've never had any issues since then. Here's the back of the Rodecaster. We've got color coding for each of the mics, so we know whose is who if we ever have to unplug them or move them, which we don't do often. And you got your headphone inputs. Then we've got an input coming from the laptop, so we can play audio if we need to. And there's a USB going back to the laptop that controls the Rodecaster. If we need to update it, pull recordings off of it, does have a micro SD slot. So we capture audio on there, just in case, as a backup. So yeah, that's it. Hopefully we'll be starting the podcast up in the next month or so. Episode 51. DWBshow.com. I'll put that down in the link as well. So check us out. Thanks for watching. Appreciate it.